Welcome back, Kirk Reed.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
We have Kirk Reed of The Reed Effect in studio. We interviewed... When did I interview you?
It would have been March, and it would have been right before all this craziness. Right before.
Yeah, it was. I think it was like they were talking about it. They were talking about canceling stuff and canceling events and stuff like that. But just the whispers of it. It wasn't like...
Right, no, but it was March. And then I think everything went down. Actually, it was around St. Paddy's Day, I think. So March 17th. So I think it was like the week before.
Just grab that mic and put it right in front. Yeah.
Yeah,
there we go. Because you kind of, yeah.
Check.
There we go.
Better?
Yeah,
nice.
We're good. Don't worry about it. It happens all the time in podcasts. But,
yeah.
So you were going to release the album. Everything got canceled.
Yeah. And I remember we talked about it in March too. I mean, who'd ever guess 9 months later we'd still be in lockdown. Insane. 2020 is crazy. But yeah, we were supposed to release the new album May 1st at the Horseshoe. And we would have had CDs. It was all planned. We were hustling to finish up the mixes and mastering. And then everything went down, and then we canceled it. And I even thought, okay, well, maybe a month, right?
Yeah.
And then we had to obviously, cancel the release party.
Well, you know what's interesting about all this is how, just to put the COVID thing to bed here. I think it will undertone the whole podcast. Actually, you know that? I think it might.
Yeah.
But I went back and I ended up running into on Twitter. Running into someone. Imagine saying that, running into someone. But seeing someone that I knew from high school on Twitter. And I went into his Twitter account, and I was scrolling through, and he doesn't tweet a lot. But back in March, he put out a tweet saying, anybody that's against hashtag 15 days to stop the spread, and hashtag flatten the curve, is like an idiot or something like that. We all need to get behind this. Right?
Yeah.
And I haven't heard anyone say 15. I think we've been on day 300 of 15 days to stop the spread. And the curve turned out to be unflattenable or something.
Yeah. No, I know. It's hard to know exactly.
When are you guys going to get back into live events again? Is that even on the horizon?
Well, it's hard to tell. I thought we would have been fine, this past summer or fall. But, I was wrong about that. But and I'm the eternal optimist. I think I'm hoping. Now that I was just chatting with Scott, your producer. Now that we're in the first stages of the vaccine, and then the frontline workers will get the vaccine, and then hopefully they'll work all the kinks out. And then I'm hoping in the spring, summer, even if it's another year, it's going to happen. We'll have to get through this somehow. This can't go on forever. It's gone on longer than I would have expected, and many people would have expected, but. I don't know. I'm planning to start playing live again. I'm building a new band. I have a whole new lineup. So yeah, we're gonna do and we're doing a live video in a studio at the end of January. So we're gearing up for that. But then when it comes time, we're gonna be ready. We're gonna be ahead of the game and start hitting it hard. And my hope, as far as live music is concerned, is that there'll be somewhat of a resurgence of a love for live music. Live music has been kind of up and down over the years, and it's, in Toronto too, it's hard to get people coming out. A lot of it's DJ and, dance clubs and stuff like that. Live music, it's just not as big as, I think in the 60s and 70s it was huge, right?
Yeah.
And the people were so passionate about it, it's so cool. Then it just kind of fell. And so my hope is that there's going to be a resurgence of that, and I want to capitalize on that. My friends and I are talking about the Roaring Twenties. We want to kind of make that happen. So that's my hope, and that's what I'm aiming for.
So it's interesting. There's optimism, and then there's being realistic.
Yeah, I know.
It's interesting because your album is called 1973. It's a bit of a to have the name right, 1973. Yeah. It's laced with nostalgia. There's a lot of there's some anger in it.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah. Oh, there we go. Yeah, there's especially that song, 1973, the title track.
Sure.
It's really a tribute to that era.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some anger in some of the other songs. Every Reed effect has a little bit of anger.
Rise Up struck me as a song that was undertoned with some anger.
Yeah, and some rebellion and stuff. But for the most part, Rise Up is it's kind of like a party song, and really like a ass kicking song, somewhat of aggressive. Of fun, release, venting
Sure.
and just and partying with your friends. And the verses you talk about,
Sure.
spending time. And in the bridge, it's like, how does it go? I guess I got to start memorizing my lyrics. Yeah. On this summer night, yeah, the moon shines bright, not for a long time. Don't let it slip away. So it's like. Let's make the most of this life, man. It's a very positive song. There is anger there, but in a way,
there's a call to ride in the song.
Yeah,
there's a call. There's a
yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying it's a negative song. What I'm saying is that maybe a better word than anger is frustration.
Yeah, and I think everyone can relate to that. Just part of the human condition. Living in this world, man, you're gonna have to deal with some bullshit, and it's tough. So everyone's some people more than others, but everyone can kind of, when you hear a song like this, you can kind of relate to it. It's like, yeah, man,
sure,
and
sure.
you kind of feel better afterwards, and you can kind of relate to others that are frustrated as well. Yeah, some frustrations for sure.
Yeah, there's frustrations in there.
Yeah, and then I in the singing itself, the actual tone, there'll be some. Anger, a little bit of aggression. There's so many unfair things in life, and for me, there needs to be an outlet for that. There needs to be some kind of platform. I think ultimately it's a healthy platform, rock and roll, where you can kind of go nuts.
Sure.
And you can't do that all the time. You can't live in that world. There has to be some, some structure and some order to a certain degree. But then, the walls of life and society and everything, they can't fall down on us. We have to kind of, they are falling down on us. And everyone's feeling that frustration.
People are feeling the squeeze right now.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's insane. So, I remember, when I was younger, listening to some music that would be considered more like Rage Against the Machine and stuff like that. But because, sometimes you get pissed off, man. It's just part of life. I used to, when I was younger, would sometimes feed that, and I'm beyond that now. I don't want to. Negativity is not something that I know you have to be realistic about things, but some people can kind of feed the frustration, and then you start, kind of complain about things, and you're kind of focusing on things that you're always pissed off about. And that's not what I'm about, and that's not what this album's about. But it is an outlet, and it is a place where you can kind of, celebrate life, but also let go of some of your, release some of your frustrations.
Yeah, that's what I think that's an accurate description when I was listening to the album, that it's an interesting timing, that Rise Up song.
Yeah, I know.
To be released now.
And we wrote that, I wrote the lyrics and stuff. And our producer, Ted Zavdalis, kind of guided me, because I had different lyrics for the song. And then he says, actually, his actual word was, I think those lyrics are totally fucking lame or something like that. He said, no, this is an ass kicker. We got to get in there. We got to, do it. Yeah, sure. It was something like, he's honest. And then, so we did, and we put it, and that's what we came up with. Or I came up with it, but he kind of guided the process. But yeah, it was before all this stuff. So I know it's timely, for sure. I think that'll be
what, a lot of art, I don't find it. So I'm an art collector, as you know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And, just disclosure, Kirk is my children's music teacher as well. Kirk Reed. Fun to have a rock and roll music teacher. But, I find it not that helpful to ask artists what their work means. It's kind of like, is Bob Dylan in control of who the Mr. Tambourine Man is?
Right, yeah.
Or is the listener in control of who Mr. Tambourine Man is?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
100%.
Mr. Tambourine Man belongs to Bob Dylan's fans, not to Bob Dylan.
Right. Exactly.
And the interpretation belongs to them as well.
Yeah, and you'll have a million different interpretations too, right?
That's what makes a song good.
Yeah, exactly. True. And Chris Cornell said that too. He doesn't... Remember, he was in an interview. We lost him a couple years ago. One of my favorite singers. I was fortunate enough to see him a few times. But someone asked him about a specific song, about the lyrics, and he didn't want to explain. He says, he's somewhat of a vessel of, a stream of consciousness when you're creating. Sure. And then once you kind of put it out there, it's your contribution or your gift. And then you can kind of take it and chew on it and interpret it however you want. I absolutely understand. Like from my, I'll have my, like when I like Trampled Under, for example, that was about a specific time in my life. But that's a personal thing, and people are gonna have to relate to it like in their own way.
Sure.
And I try to keep it somewhat universal. I don't want to just sing about look what I'm going through and all that stuff. It has to be somewhat understated and a universal theme that everyone can relate to a certain extent.
So you're hopeful that that there is a pent-up demand and a longing for live music because of the isolation, because of the lockdowns, because of these various measures that have totally obliterated your industry.
Absolutely. It's absolutely crazy. And the thing is, for artists, like times like these are like good and bad. Like we took it as an opportunity. Our producer said he had no work, right? Like what's he going to do? Like he can't even have anyone over to his studio. But he took the time, and I took the time too, to step up my game as far as promoting. So I hired a consultant, Daryl Hurst from Indie Week and from CD Baby. So I took the free time as an opportunity to kind of step up my game, to become more promotional savvy. And our producer spent months, and Chris and I didn't even hear the mixes for months. He said, "No, you're not going to hear it." He spent day and night, like from March. Remember, we were supposed to release it, so he was hustling to get it done. He said, "Okay, we don't know when this is going to end. I'm going to comb through like every single track." And there were hundreds, man. We spent 2.5. You could tell all the layers. Sure. The production is huge, and that's after like trimming, taking everything, and just taking the best of the best of the best, going through every track, the snare, the bass drum, all the the 30-second bar in the second song isn't quite. I need that kick. He went like combed it with a fine tooth comb, just went through it, and that's what you get. So he made the most of it, and we didn't hear the tracks till I think August, and I'm like, holy shit, this is amazing. And then once we got it mastered too, like we just took it to the highest level of the production as much. So, and then I had spent time trying to build up my YouTube channel, doing coverage. I learned how to video edit and stuff. Sure. So I spent a lot of time, and in this day and age, we have the online forum. So we could still kind of promote ourselves and sell some things through Instagram and, just build a fan base. So I spent time doing that, so I learned a lot of things. So just trying to make the most of it. I know and also with the hope that this is going to we're going to get through this. This is going to be a temporary thing, maybe long term.
I want to see one of those guys, I want to see Justin Trudeau or Dr. Fauci or someone like that take the vaccine on video live.
Yeah. Yeah.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah, let's start. Yeah. Show
I'm not an anti-vax guy.
Right, yeah.
Okay, I'm not anti-vax. Vaccines are bad for you. I've been vaccinated up the wazoo.
Yeah.
For what's that one? Twinrix for hepatitis A and B. I took that vaccine.
Right.
A couple other ones.
Shot
whatever they
polio,
are, whatever, all the vaccines. I took them all my life. I'm not against them. I vaccinated my children.
Right.
But what I think everyone's a little bit freaked out right now.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a totalitarian interpretation from all of this that a lot of people are saying doesn't make sense to everybody.
Yeah, I know. People are trying to make sense of this, and I mean, I know there's a conspiracy theory movement, and it's really grown over the last few months, and people want to question and speculate. There's different conspiracy theories, and I've researched quite a few. Some I can kind of wrap my head around. There's others that are so far left field, and it's almost like you can kind of fall into a world of speculation and a world of imagination with no actual evidence. But people, like, life's a bitch, man. I get it. So just, we were talking about frustrating, unfair things in life. So I understand, and then people want to kind of make sense of things so they can have a little bit more control over life and their mind. And just, there's got to be a reason for all this stuff. I don't know. And again, I know, being positive, you have to be realistic. There is some fun.
Here's the fundamental problem. This is why people are into the conspiracy world. What I think, Kirk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's two types of argumentation. There's inductive argument and deductive argument. Okay. And so when you're using induction, you say we have projected the number of deaths that we're going to have from this if we don't do these other things. And there's like 100,000 and 15,000 and 3,000. And the inductive science, what we know, versus what we can predict, says this. So we have to do all these crazy things, but only for 15 days, only to stop the spread and all this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then, but we can't, as people that are not virologists and not scientists, and as people, we can't deploy any inductive reasoning there. And we're not allowed to, because our society says if you don't have a PhD in virology or you're not an epidemiologist, you cannot make inductive determinations about things.
Right.
That's for experts to do.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah. And
predict the future.
To trust the experts.
Yeah,
and the media.
The science, follow the science away, right? So they're using their inductive reasoning to try and predict the future using algorithms and mathematics and projections and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
All the rest of us have is deductive reasoning.
Yeah. Right.
Right? Where it's like, hey, man, it seems like we've been wearing masks for a long time. And when we started wearing masks, everything kind of got worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
You understand when they made the mask mandate, when people weren't wearing masks, but then the summer was coming, and now the winter's coming. So like we're using our deductive reasoning to try to see if their inductive reasoning makes any sense.
Right.
And for an increasing number of the population, their deductive reasoning is starting to say these people don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can understand.
Like, as time has gone on, you've seen an increase in people that are just saying, you know what? This seems like not that many dead people. And they don't talk about how many people have died that much. Right. They talk more about how many people have tested positive.
Yeah, the numbers.
And maybe now they've come, and if you're really deductive, you're saying maybe now the people that did all these crazy things to us are afraid to admit they were wrong. Because that's also part of deductive reasoning.
Yeah.
Right? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you have a lot of people that are being pushed into conspiracy theories. Right? Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? And that's why it's growing so quickly.
Yeah. In times like these, I mean, the way I look at it, like, I understand that QAnon has been thriving and stuff like that. Some of those right-wing kind of conspiracy theory platforms.
Both of the wings have exploded.
Oh, yeah. No, the left wing as well, for sure.
Like, have exploded in popularity.
Yeah. Like,
people have left the center because of this, and there's like siding on one side or the other.
I know. Very polarized, and it's crazy times, especially in the States.
That's why I think your song "Rise Up" is so
it's
kind
poignant.
of poignant. Yeah, exactly.
I know.
That's the right word. It is poignant.
Yeah, and it's almost taken on a somewhat of a different meaning now. And I think it's going to be our producer wants us to release that as the second single, and then we'll do a video. I'll be releasing a video for Fine here fairly soon. But yeah, see,
I mean, like your song "Rise Up" is.
Yeah, very rebellious.
If you look at the lyrics to it, it's an odd time to put out a song called "Rise Up."
Yeah, inciting a riot. I know, and people are going to jump on that and say, "Yeah, let's do this." I'm like, well, no, that's not what I'm talking Yeah, no, I know. It's just there's so
I think
many
it's
different
fun.
angles.
I
Yeah,
think it's fun, dude.
yeah.
Like, I mean, for you, it's like, I'm not the leader of any rebellion that other people choose. I get that.
Right. But there's a
Right.
lot of people
You're
looking
not,
for.
yeah, you're not going to be pinned as the leader of a movement of some
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
or the musician for some left wing or right wing outlet.
Right.
But that song is an odd one, bud.
Yeah, no, I know. And then there are going to be many people because there's a lot of people that are flipping out right now, and I get it. Yeah, it is interesting, and there's so many different angles of looking at it. The way I kind of look at it is this whole pandemic. It's unprecedented times. So I think even the scientists and the doctors and the medical community, they don't know exactly what's going on. So they say, temporarily for now, let's all kind of, wear a mask and just try to, engage in social distancing and stuff like that to try to, while we try to figure this out. Because, I mean, from what they're saying, it's a very contagious virus.
Well, the actual effects of the virus and the public perceptions of its safety are completely uncorrelated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, people are way more scared of COVID-19 than COVID-19 deserves to be scared of.
Yeah, it's probably, yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm not saying it's not a danger. Like, I'm not an epidemiologist.
Right.
I'm not going to use any inductive reasoning. I only use deductive reasoning by observation.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I'm right.
Right.
But,
the whole economy.
I had COVID-19. My parents had it.
Oh, yeah. I think,
both my parents
Ella,
had it. Both my
you
parents
had COVID-19?
Yeah, both my parents had it.
Really?
When
did you have it?
August.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And now it's December, and both my parents had. So do I need to be vaccinated, or am I already good to go?
Right, yeah, because maybe
isn't that what a vaccination is? And a vaccination is really giving somebody the disease in a way so that their body has immunity to it.
Right, yeah.
Right, so there's nothing better than in that scenario, there's nothing better than actually having it and surviving it.
Yeah. See, I think a lot of
So I'm golden.
Yeah.
But I shouldn't have to quarantine.
Yeah. I guess if they have you on
I need a badge.
List. Yeah.
I need a badge.
Right. True.
Like, I'll wear it around my neck. I don't need to wear a mask. I don't got any COVID.
Right.
I already beat COVID.
Yeah. See, I think
what's the difference between that and somebody I think I'm better than someone that's had a vaccination.
Getting the vaccine. Yeah.
Like, don't I get a higher level of safety rating?
Right. Yeah. Okay. Wow, I didn't even know that. Ella was mentioned that your parents had it. And I know a couple of people that had it as well.
My dentist wouldn't let me come to his office. So I had a dental appointment in mid-November. I had COVID in August, and I quarantined for 14 days.
Oh, yeah?
Okay. And the dentist said, you have to go have another COVID test. I told him, I'm not going to go wait in those lines and have someone shove something up my nose. That's how you get COVID again.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to a place where everybody's going that thinks they have COVID.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Why would I go to a place
and you already had it?
Yeah, I already had it. And why would I go to a place where other people have COVID that are lining up there? I don't care if we're social distancing or not. Right. And now I'm going to wait in line with a whole bunch of people that have COVID and walk through like a COVID path.
Yeah,
where people stick things up my nose. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, true. Do you know where you caught it from?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
contractor. That's the next ridiculous thing that I think is hilarious. Like, the idea, anyway, that we're going to have a concert. We can't have a concert because someone might have COVID, and then other people might get COVID, and then go to Okay, what's different about COVID than anything else? That's how all germs are spread.
Yeah, from what I understand, is like there's something highly contagious about COVID-19 that separates it from like the average flu.
You think so?
Well, that's what the scientists are saying. I mean, I don't know, and also like you're a healthy guy, like fairly young too.
Sure.
There's a lot of more people that are more vulnerable, and
sure.
then, so there's deaths, and even with all the masking, like it got worse just because some people didn't take it seriously, maybe, or
maybe it just got worse because it got worse.
Yeah, maybe. Some of that's kind of a $50,000 question,
Sure. We got to get back to live concerts.
Exactly, and I do believe we will. And then once things start opening up, the vaccine gets... See, a lot of people are talking about like 100 years ago, the Spanish flu, like 1918 or whatever.
Sure.
See, millions of people died because of that. But then we didn't have the medicine that we have now. Sure. So it became herd immunity.
Yeah, but you can still get the Spanish flu.
Yeah, but
H1N1 is the Spanish flu.
Yeah.
You can still get Spanish flu.
Right.
There was an outbreak, I think, in 2009 of the Spanish flu.
Yeah. And then SARS was a few years before.
Yeah, SARS was a few years before that. Yeah, I mean, we got to be able to go back to concerts.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I mean, whether it's a vaccine or whatever.
Or herd immunity.
Yeah, we're herd.
Or just like, let's...
what do we got? We got herd immunity. I think we got, not herd immunity. What we got is, we got the mindset of the herd.
Yeah.
What do they call that? Herd?
Oh,
there's another expression. Herd immunity.
Sheep or whatever.
No, there's herd mentality.
Oh,
we got herd mentality, not herd immunity.
Yeah.
We got lots of herd mentality.
Right.
And no herd immunity.
Yeah, there's a gap there somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere there's a gap. We need to go that mentality to go to. I mean, how do you? So for me, I look at I can't live the rest of my life. So let's say I live to 80.
No one can. We can't.
And I can't go see Kirk Reed play live. Come on.
Yeah.
Man.
No. It's going to add insult to injury. And my sincere hope, we'll do another podcast once the lockdown. We can then talk about how long, maybe in a few months or whatever.
Sure.
And then we can review back to what we're talking about now. But yeah, and I think it's going to be the vaccine, like Pfizer has it, and that other one. I can't remember the name of it, but
sure.
it doesn't. But it's like it's going to. It went to the States last week. It'll be up in Canada. The frontline workers are going to get it.
Sure.
Once people all get that, over the next and they work out the kinks, in the next few months, I think we'll be. I mean, it's a step-by-step process, but at least
do you think people will come back?
People?
Yeah, for me, I can't wait to get back to the way things were.
Yeah, life, man.
Yeah,
I know.
There's more to life. I don't want to talk about COVID-19 anymore.
Yeah, no, enough's enough.
Come on.
We got to put 2020 to rest, man.
Yeah,
2021. Let's aim.
Yeah.
Pick the one thing I can say, and I'm talking from a philosophical view, and I wrote a song called COVID-19 a few months ago. Herd mentality. I see what you're saying. In some ways, again, I want to be realistic, but we all affect each other on many levels. Forget about COVID-19, just everything. Sure. We all affect each other on many different levels. So somehow, this kind of put us on the same team, or at least it. I think there's teams that are really against one another. Dude. No, I know, but I would hope. My hope is that it would put us more on the same team, so we can work together as a team and beat this thing. But there's a lot of people flipping out. And again, I get that. And then fear sells as well, right? So I'm trying to keep encouragement and some hope for the future that we'll get through this somehow. But as a team, we all kind of pitch in and do whatever we can with this. Within our power. I know there's society leaders that are calling a lot of shots. I get that.
We need someone to come out. Like at some point in any crisis, in any dark time, at some point, someone has to come out and say, eat, drink, and be merry, man.
Yeah. I know.
You know what I mean? Like, we're all going to die sometime, brother.
Yeah, no, I know. Exactly. We can't, this isn't living. This isn't life the way it's meant to be. It can't. It has to be temporary, one way or the other. And I think it's the vaccine. That's the first step in heading towards this lockdown, going to bed.
Yeah.
And then we can get back to seeing our loved ones.
But then people have to recover emotionally.
Yeah, I know.
There's a lot
and work their way
people that are scared, dude.
Suffering. And I get it. I know. And part of my message is to kind of keep your, sometimes a little bit of fear can be good. It'll keep you on your toes. But you don't want to get so lost in fear. And then it turns into kind of pessimism and bitterness and cynicism. All negative things that starts to fester in your soul begins to rust, man. Yeah. And I'm just trying to do whatever I can in whatever small way through my music and just through things like this is to somehow to give some hope and just hang in there, lighten up, have a bit of a sense of humor, and accept at least from my perspective, that this will be temporary. Just hang in there we're in the home stretch, I think, with the vaccine. And then, and look forward to the day when we can see people we haven't seen for months and, get back to going to live shows, man, and getting back to performing. All my friends and my musician peers, just dying, man.
Music is essential,
like food,
brother.
Man. Yeah.
Music is essential, brother.
Yeah. It's
I
like
don't care
food.
what anybody says. What's essential and what isn't essential.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Music is essential, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, like I was saying earlier, I think there's going to be a resurgence of a love and a passion for live music that we haven't had for a long time. The Roaring Twenties are going to begin soon. And I want to get my bands, but especially in particular the Reed Effect,
ready for the boom.
Ready for it when it hits. That's why I'm gearing out. We're rehearsing at my place. I'm building like a new lineup and stuff. So yeah, part of my and then I think it was Nietzsche that said, "Without music, life would be a mistake." I think that was the quote. Like it wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense. And for me,
I mean,
I made music my life, but for just being a human being,
the beat of the drum is the beat of the heart, buddy.
Exactly.
It goes back to like the jungles.
That predates language.
Yeah, for
music,
sure.
the rhythm. It's part of who we are, man. Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And you can't deprive yourself of that forever, especially live music. There's something very special. I mean, fortunately, we have the internet now, so we get to listen to things, and we have modern technology. We can kind of
modern technology facilitates this. It's the other way around.
Yeah, okay.
It's actually the other way around. Without modern technology, they wouldn't be able to do any of this.
Yeah, exactly.
It's actually the modern technology is what it's allowing them to do this.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people think, well, thank God we have Netflix and the internet with one way like Star Wars level communication on screens and Star Trek level communication. Captain Kirk, how are you? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're doing well over here in the Star Galaxy 29. Oh, good. Exactly. Whatever. Yeah. The fact that we have this type of technology is allowing this kind of restrict lockdowns.
Yeah, true. Interesting. Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, that's a good point.
It's funny because you said the Roaring Twenties. I actually think you're right. But for a really sad reason. So one of the things that allowed the First World War, like the First World War is so gruesome, dude.
Yeah, nightmare.
The Second World War is ridiculously horrific, okay, in terms of the bombing and the blowing up of things. But for World War I was gruesome. It was like a horror movie.
Yeah.
The trenches and the mud and the barbed wire and the no man's land. And
right.
Rats and the dead bodies everywhere and the total destruction, right?
Yeah,
and it's funny because in order to have the Roaring Twenties, you had to lose something,
right?
And a change in technology allowed for a lot of people to have their families obliterated and damaged.
Yeah, true.
And I think that's happening now.
Yeah. Yeah, because the World War I was right before the Roaring Twenties, like over the original Roaring 20s.
A technological change, like an industrialization of warfare. Like the Franco-Prussian War was bad. Like the American Civil War was kind of like a prelude.
Right.
The First World War was kind of like this will happen when you have this kind of machine gun.
Right.
And men still thinking that they're like Braveheart with swords running into it.
Yeah.
Like that's brutal. Dude.
I know.
Like
something we can't even. You can only imagine. I know.
Right? And now, like what we're seeing is like, is there going to be a narrative where, can you believe we locked everybody in their houses and forced them to stare at those computer screens all day and work over the internet and not meet their father, and not be able to bury their granddad, not have a funeral and all this sort of stuff?
Yeah. Right.
Like, there's a lot of tragedies from this, man, and I know it's hit you personally a little bit as well. Want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, and I know, absolutely, the biggest moment, the biggest, the ultimate trauma of my life, the worst possible thing that my brother took his life October 10th. So it'll be 9 weeks ago this past Saturday, 2020. And
He was a founding member of the Reed Effect?
no, I'm the founding member, and I built the band with my ex-girlfriend, Melinda. See, there's a bit of a story there. We could save that for the next one.
Sure.
I was ill. I'm not even sure if you know, but I was sick. I wasn't able to walk for 10 years. I was homebound for 7. I was really sick for years and years. Anyway, I won't go into all the details of that. But at the end, as I was getting better, I was still on crutches. I met Melinda Uden, 2011, and she took that whole year off and nursed me back to health. So I started walking again Christmas of 2011. So 9 years. 9 years I've been walking. I've been fine, pain-free, and I'm healthy again. A little too healthy sometimes. But it was really me that I wrote the Kirk Reed album. I'll give you a copy
Sure.
later, the 12 songs. I wrote all the songs myself while I was sick. I played all the instruments and everything. And then I built the Reed Effect from there. So Chris joined the Reed Effect, I think, like 4 years in.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a very interesting relationship. I don't have any memory in my life without Chris being there. So yeah, I think he joined 2015, like the beginning, like actually the end of 2014. So 6 years, like now.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got better, we were actually estranged for like a year and a half, 2 years. When I was starting to get back out there. Again, that's a story. It'll take too long to get into.
Sure.
It was his choice. He didn't want to see me for a year and a half. Fortunately, we got we
Reunited?
reunited, and soon after that, he joined my band. Melinda left, and then I was like, I have a gig at the Rivoli. I mean, I need a bassist. Can you fill in for that one gig, which would have been January of 2015? He said sure. So he learned, and and then he ended up joining the band, and then that was the real Reed Effect because obviously my last name is Reed, so to have 2 members, so it's really him and I, and then we had like 3 or 4 drummers, during the last few years.
Sure.
So we got really close. We had countless shows, but I mean. He's literally the most important person in my life. I was there at the hospital when he was born. I'm not going to tell you what year because then people will have a sense of how old I am, and then we're going to keep that.
The album's called 1973.
Yeah, so I may or may not have been alive in 1973. Yeah, and we worked amazing together. You hear all the backup harmonies on the album.
Sure.
That's all Chris.
Sure.
I wasn't even at the studio. That was just between Chris and our producer. Ted, and he's the most, I have no memory of life, of my consciousness, because I'm 22 months older than him.
Mm-hmm.
I was at the hospital, so I don't remember. I remember him as a baby, but
Sure.
I mean, and then it's a nightmare. It's still so surreal, not 9.5 weeks in, and I break down almost every day still. It's at the biggest trauma of my parents in my life. The band was done. I couldn't, the first 2.5, 3 weeks, I couldn't even think about this band. I didn't even, like, the Reed Effect, what? Like, what is it? It was done. I couldn't even think. It was just like trying to figure out, how do I navigate through this, man? Like, he's a part of my DNA. Like, we grew up together,
Sure.
right? And we were close. We didn't just grow up together and then grow away. We were so close to our 20s, and then I got sick, so I couldn't, but I always was the big brother, always trying to keep track of them, because we went through our, some depression and hard times in our teens and 20s. We struggled
Sure.
a bit. And so we kind of we were so close, man. And we moved up here from the States in our late teens. So we didn't really know anyone up here. It took a while to kind of build a new life. So it's just him and I, we hung out all the time and went to tons of festivals, so many amazing memories. And to not have him with me, and he took his life. It wasn't an accident. It was deliberate, intentional. He made sure. I found him minutes after he did what he did, and that's an image that's going to haunt me for the rest of my life, man.
Sure.
Like, I have to, from my love for him and my love for my parents, I have to kind of step by step navigate my way through this new adjustment, the biggest adjustment of my life, without Chris being here physically. I have had, I don't want to get too philosophical or anything, but I've had signs from Chris, I believe, that are clearly it's mind-blowing stuff. I can share one or two stories, but I have like 14 things that have happened the subsequent 2 to 3 weeks. That's crazy. That I needed that comfort, man.
You were seeking, searching for it.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a tough question?
Yeah.
Was he living alone?
He had his own apartment. He had to move out actually January 1st. Like my partner Veronica, whom you've met before, moved into Chris's apartment, which is downstairs from my building. And so then Chris moved into the house that she was renting. So they switched. So he lived at the house, but then him and his roommates got kicked out. So he moved in to his apartment at Bloor and Islington last January. So he was kind of living on his own, but he had a girlfriend. And so she more or less was visiting him a lot. And then once the lockdown happened, she basically stayed with him. So he wasn't living alone.
No.
She was there for the last few months. Anyway, the apartment, like, it was a 1-bedroom, and with her there was like slightly crowded, but there wasn't much of a view. It was a bit of a cave, and I don't know. It's just he developed carpal tunnel in the late spring. So with the lockdown, he was already starting to struggle mentally.
Sure.
And the last year he was having some issues, and I knew he was struggling and suffering a bit. We still talked every day. I try to keep him. I see him as much as I could, and I didn't think I would have seen that. I mean, I was supposed to see him that night. He even said, "Okay, I'm coming over," and I found it. So we go bike riding, and we still jam. But the thing is, like June, July, the carpal tunnel started taking over, and he's such a handyman. I know. I don't think you've ever met him.
So he's stuck. He's stuck
him.
in his home. He can't work because of carpal tunnel.
He can't work. No, so his work went to shit. Like
he
he's
has
an
no
engineer.
view. He has no view from his apartment.
No
There's
view. It's just a brick wall.
And he's on the internet all day.
Yeah, and he was fixing bikes, so he had his own little bike. He used to find bikes. He was a bit of a scavenger, so he would find bikes, abandoned bikes all over the place, and he'd rebuild them and then sell them. So he was kind of doing that to make, to get by. And he was collecting syrup there for a little while. But his work he's an engineer, so he worked AutoCAD, and it's so between the lockdown and then him, he was kind of becoming a bit unhinged in some of the conversations I had with him, and I knew things weren't quite. I didn't think it was going to end up with the ultimate act of self-destruction. But between the carpal tunnel, the lockdown, and then the depression was kind of kicking in, and he was struggling with some addiction as well. That played a part.
So you had the up and down of drugs?
Yeah, and I and he told me he relapsed back in like May, June, and I said, okay, you got to get off this, get on some medication. So we got him on the medication, and then things were like basically okay, and then he relapsed again. So and then the carpal tunnel. The thing is, he's such a handyman. He's one of a kind, and I'm not just saying that because of my adoration and my love for Chris, like the most important person, But he went down that road, and the darkness slowly kind of took over. He went on a trip in September, which was a blessing in my mind. He needed to get away. He needed to get out of the city. It was actually, I mean, again, when I say a blessing, I think legitimately it was a blessing. He needed that. So he went on a trip out to BC for the whole month of September. And it was a very last minute thing. It was interesting how it happened. My Aunt Gail, my mom's sister, went on a trip with her girlfriend who was just getting a divorce. So she bought a Winnebago or an RV or whatever, a big one. And so they already planned to take the trip out west to BC. But then she realized she didn't really know how to drive it. So she's like, "Oh, that's Chris," So she asked him, and he asked me, "Can I go?" Like, because we were working on, promoting the album and all that stuff. Although we couldn't rehearse anymore because of his fingers, right?
Sure.
So what's really interesting, so he went for the whole month of September, and we chatted, on WhatsApp, whatever. I kept tabs on him, but even some of the conversations were very negative. No matter, like, whatever I was saying, he just seemed to be losing some hope, with the band and all that stuff. And I said, no, just commit to the healing process. You'll be okay. So he had a chance. Excuse me. He had the opportunity to be able to go out west and see some family members that he hasn't seen for years, and see some old friends. And serendipitously, a good friend of ours, Anthony Delorso, Del, and Jody Brown, happened to be going out west at the same time, and Chris didn't even know it. And they were on a road trip. This literally happened in BC. So Chris is just riding, and he pulled over on the highway. I can't, like, some kind of, not even on the highway, right off the highway, there was a road that they had to stop for whatever reason. And Del was driving, and he saw the back of Chris's head on the side in BC, and we're friends in Toronto.
What?
He goes, "That looks like Chris Reed." And Jody's like, "There's no way that's Chris."
Pulled over.
They pulled over, and it's Chris. I mean, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And they were staying at the same fucking, excuse my French. Well, it's just so mind blowing. I don't drop the F-bomb too much. I try, but when I'm trying to make a point, I can drive it home. They stayed at the same campground that night in an RV. Isn't that incredible? Yeah. So Del and I chatted. He was at the funeral. Sure. And I posted the funeral online. So it's there's a website that my partner Veronica put together called In Memory of Chris Reed. Sure. And the whole service is on there. Anyway, see, the thing is, he had the carpal tunnel, he had the addiction issues, and he had depression and all that stuff. And the work. That week, like October 10th, the following week we're supposed to release the album. I was gearing up. So it was the second time I was supposed to release the thing.
And you and I were talking about a podcast even then, weren't we?
Yeah. Because I was just getting back into it, slowly working.
You had mentioned something to me or something.
Yeah. I know.
Getting back in the studio to do promotional content.
Exactly. So we're going to release it all on digital through CD Baby, the distribution, all digital, Amazon, Apple Music, iTunes, and all that stuff. The October 10th, I mean, everything changed, obviously. And I couldn't even think about the band. But the thing is, that's one of the things. We're releasing the album, so a big transition, right? He just chatted with Todd, who I met for the first. I've known about Todd, his boss, and really good friend, that's been talking Chris up. Like, he adores Chris, and he says he's never worked with any. He wouldn't be a success. Todd Ricketts. He wouldn't be as successful as he is without working with Chris. And I've known about Todd for like over 20 years. They started working together in the late 90s. And he talks about, some of the work that, when Chris would do it, all the plans, engineering, all design and all that stuff. He said it was art, he's brilliant. And I'm not just saying, this is Todd's words, right? He saved his business one time $750,000 because he caught something that no one else did, the whole company, right? He's just a one-of-a-kind kind of guy. And some of his blueprints they have in the province. He's sent to the province. They use that as example for education in the system because of Chris's drawings. That's what kind of person he is. He's brilliant, right? And I think it's a bit of a tortured artist kind of thing. I think that there's part of that because he's one of a kind, the way he thinks. And that you heard all the harmonies, all those little quirky ideas. That's him, man. Sure. Even if I play the guitar, I mean, a lot of the riffs, the main riffs, but he's beautiful. He sees life through a very unique lens, right? So anyway, and I was the one that had to give Todd the call before I posted it on social media. There was people that I wanted to, and I told Caroline, your wife, to tell you and your family, and ask for prayers and everything. So the transition was happening. So he had that, but then Todd called him that week, the Wednesday, which I guess would have been October 14th or whatever. And he called Chris and said, I have a lot of work coming up. Like that week, he had like thousands of dollars, tons of work coming in. And he was offering Chris actual shares in the company into the new project. So there was plenty of work coming up, lots of good money coming. That was just about to start happening. And Chris was like, okay, I'll give you a call back tomorrow. He never called back, and that was the Thursday. And the other thing, the Thursday, man, see, this is what pisses me off, you know. I mean, it's heart-wrenching, but I also have rage because I'm so angry at him sometimes. That doesn't last forever. So anyway, but then Thursday, the specialist because he was going to get surgery for his wrist.
Yeah,
he had to. He couldn't even feel his fingers. So he Thursday, the specialist called to make an appointment, and I'm not even sure. I found this out from the GP, our family doctor, Lisa Mendel, like a week or two later. I'm trying to figure out what the hell's going on. She said, yeah, they called on the Thursday and made an appointment. So he was about to get an appointment for surgery. So those three things, he was getting surgery. He had all this work
things were going to turn around.
Everything was turning around. It was that week. Everything was happening, and I guess in whatever. I mean, I can speculate a bit, but I also know him better than anyone. I think he just wasn't willing to get on that recovery road. He felt like it would have taken too long, or just what he gave up, you know, and he just wanted out. So on the day of October 9th, I mean, he just got back from that trip. Mm-hmm. And I think the transition of going back to his apartment, he had this beautiful trip. But even on the trip, there was negative messages that, you know, he was giving me a hard time. So I saw him on Friday, October 9th, the Friday evening. You know, so, okay, let's get together. And I could tell he was a bit off, but it was actually, it was a blessing, you know, from the universe in many ways. I think that I had that one night with him, and it was a very good memory. We listened to the tracks of the album, the mastered tracks, for the first time ever together, because we finished the mastering while he was away. So he listened to it and shared the tracks, you know. But then together we listened to it to make sure that we were happy with everything. You know, we had a guy from New York City mastering it, the best of the best, right? So we listened to all 7 tracks for the first, and would be the last time as well. We cheered. We had a shot of Jameson. We cheered for all the hard work.
Sure.
You know, and then and so we had a pint together at the Rhino, and then he was a bit of our. He was doing okay, but he was in a bit of a dark mood a bit, and he even apologized later that night. And the thing is, sometimes I would say, like, what the hell's your problem? Brothers, right? You know,
Sure.
Plus I love him so much. It hurts so much to watch someone you love so much kind of not loving themselves and following through with so self-destructive behavior, right?
Yeah.
And feeling so negative and being unhappy. It tore me apart. I felt the pain.
The mountain gets bigger every time.
The mountain gets bigger every time. And then, so he apologized, and I still have the WhatsApp messages. I haven't been able to look at it ever since, but so Saturday, October 10th, we were supposed to get together in the afternoon for a bike ride. And he goes, okay, cool, yeah, let's go for a bike. There were no red flags in the way he was talking. He had this certain amount of clarity. And then I didn't hear back from him. Then at 5 p.m. I said, well, you're still ready to go? And he said, oh, I really needed that sleep. Okay, cool, you had a good rest. I guess he passed out. I found out later from his girlfriend that he didn't. He was binging a little bit. Anyway, I'm like, okay, you had to sleep. And then I said, okay, just come on over. Veronica's coming over. And Veronica and I, again, it's kind of serendipitous. We haven't seen each other on a Saturday night for like a long time. She's taking care of her elderly father. But anyway, we were together that night. Mm-hmm. I said, okay, well, Chris is coming over. We're going to have dinner. We'll have a couple drinks. So that was the plan. He messes at 7. Okay, he said, okay, once Shannon goes to her mom's, I'll come over. I'm like, okay, good. Looking forward to it. We got some food. I have a beer here for you. And then he messaged me at 9:09 p.m. He said, "Should I come over now?" I'm like, "Yeah, come on. We're ready for you. We're hanging out. We were just listening to music, you know." And then his girlfriend called me a few minutes after that and said she's really concerned about it because he sent her a couple messages that were very disconcerting. Saying like, "Wow, I don't know what's going on. I think I'm having a panic attack. My eyes are getting blurry." She sent me a screenshot of their communication, and she was kind of crying and said, "I'm really concerned." And she was up at her mom's. I can't believe I'm talking about this, but so I'm like, "Okay, well, I'll go." She goes, "Can you go check it? He's not answering his phone. Can you go check in on him?" I'm like, "Sure." And I didn't think it was that, but maybe it's just how, I didn't never really knew him to have a panic attack, or, so I didn't think. What? But Veronica and I got in the van. We got there quick. We got there at like 9:44, 9:40. So, and I looked later at the WhatsApp messages at 9:14. It said last seen at 9:14. So he still had his faculties. So we got there in a half an hour, man. So from, and I saw what I saw, and he was gone. And and then I pulled him down. Veronica called 911. They brought him back to life. They had to do CPR, and we got him to everyone at Toronto Western was like incredible, and the police. I had to work with the coroner, so they brought him back so we didn't even know what was going to happen over the next 3 or 4 days, and he was unconscious, right? But he would die, right? And they brought him back to life 4 times, and then they brought him out, and he was on life support and on a ventilator, and so and then I got the call on Tuesday morning, and they said there's no chance of recovery. So that was the day when he was still on. They said, can we take out? Then I got a message. I know. See, now I'm going.
No, you're going good, man.
Yeah.
Good. Don't worry about it, man.
And I found out the next day, the Wednesday. So they kept him on life support. So he was still technically, in my mind, his soul, I believe, left, but the mechanics of the body, his heart was still beating. They had him breathe, but they said, someone called me. It was an organ donor, the coordinator. Amazing. She was so good.
What a job that is.
What a job, man. And she's in the right line of work because she was beautiful. And she walked me there, and she told me that Chris just recently registered to be an organ donor.
Oh, that's good.
So I know I had no idea. But, and again, that's kind of a bit of a breadcrumb. I'm like, I think this was somewhat inevitable, right? That's kind of where things were going. I didn't think at that time, but in hindsight, anyway. So they had to keep. She said he's a great candidate to get some. He wanted to donate everything to anyone, and so they had to find recipients. So it was that was like Tuesday afternoon. So they had to keep him alive. So it was still kind of in limbo. We had to say our goodbye. My parents and I went there, and we see him. We had a chaplain there helping us through it. Anyway, it's we had to do what we had to do, but again, it was still kind of limbo. Like, he's still technically alive. But then it turns out they found 3 recipients.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So he saved 2 lives, and he brought sight to one other person. One person was blind and can see now because of Chris. Wow. His generosity. He's an extremely generous and loving and giving person. Mm-hmm. So much, like everyone says that. The people sharing things on Facebook about memories, and just he helped people move. He helped build things. He never wanted anything in return. Right? He's just he's a machine. The guy did so much. He has bikes all over the city, like dozens and dozens, in the 3 digits, I'm sure. And all our friends, our friend group, would all go to him for bikes. If someone needs something fixed, call Chris, right? Our friend Katie, who manages Penny's, a pub in Toronto, he renovated the whole place, right? People talk about he helped him move. He just shows up. He's there to help. He's a
R.I.P. Chris Reed.
Yeah, absolutely. So he made his stamp, and then the thing is, I'm more driven now than ever with the music. This is going to be a tribute to Chris. The album, the music is all over, and I'm more driven than ever to get this thing. I was already driven, but now there's like a deeper purpose, or like a higher purpose. Like I want to get I want his memory to live on, but I want his music to live on, and I want to somehow bring hope somehow through the darkest of dark times. For me, my radio tracker that I hired too, we're going to try to turn this into some kind of light, for others, especially in these crazy times that we're talking about, man.
That's why, it's interesting how, it's, I think everybody's ready to say goodbye to 2020, brother.
Yeah, I am absolutely. It's the worst.
Everybody's
I lost the
ready to
most
say goodbye.
important person, and then it's just the craziness and, the polarizing mentalities and a lot of the fighting, physically, even the violence, but also just, some hatred and stuff,
Yeah, like people are...
I want to bring some,
Yeah, people are settling scores.
Yeah.
They're
divided, not together. It's very separate. And,
it feels that way too. When you go around and, it's interesting when you go to a Canadian Tire, let's say, for example. I was in Canadian Tire with my son. I said, try to look people in the eye.
Yeah. Human.
Like, people don't want to look in your eyes, dude.
Yeah.
They walk around like it's like this
separate.
Yeah, like, oh man, they're freaked out, bro.
I know, and for good reason. I mean, with everything, this is something we've never in our lifetime never experienced. Like, so I can understand.
What's strange to me with all of this is like there's like an undertone of this that that human contact is bad.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of people interpreting it that way.
Yeah, and for me, human contact is good.
Yeah, I think it's necessary.
Yeah, it's
you need it.
Yeah,
it's like food,
bro.
Like breathing.
Yeah, like we need to love one another. Like,
absolutely.
Canada, used to be a big family.
I know.
You know what I mean? It felt like a family when I grew up. Like, my neighbors, I trusted my neighbors. Now, like, it doesn't feel that way anymore. Man.
No, I know.
Like, people are worried about their neighbors calling the police on them if they have a Christmas party.
Yeah.
Like, that's really weird, dude.
I know. That's
for neighbors to be looking at each other like that.
I know. Like, very skeptical.
Yeah, like, if I have my parents over at Christmas, is someone going to call? Because the other, what's interesting? What's interesting is, like, I rarely listen to Doug Ford or Justin Trudeau anymore. And I don't think I'm alone in that, actually.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I'm the only one that's really sick of hearing Doug Ford talk like he's going to pull this cover over on the side of the road and spank everybody.
Yeah.
That kind of nonsense. You know what I mean?
Tyrannical.
Yeah, there's like an element. And then Justin Trudeau with his reset of everything while, they can't have parliament, but he's going to change the economic system permanently after this. And it's a great opportunity to reset everything. What the hell does that mean, pal?
Yeah.
How about we have an election and get some things figured out first? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Why don't we get this virus thing behind us before you try to save the world?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I
Keep
mean?
us together.
Yeah. Right? You have that idiot talking like that. And then, all the stuff that's going on in the States now.
Brutal. Almost a civil war. That's what it seems like it's heading.
So, like, crazy. The level of acrimony is at its highest. And then you have, like, talking about COVID-19 with people is like talking about religion.
Yeah.
Like, you either have believers and who wants to walk into a dinner party and say, let's talk about Catholicism? Like,
And
it said nobody ever that wanted to have a good time.
Yeah, exactly. Not a
you know what I mean? Like, now it's like that with COVID-19. You walk into a room and you're like, it's like, oh, yeah, I don't want to go anywhere right now. I don't want to be around anyone. Well, I kind of do. Whoa, what's wrong with you? It's like, I think we should just have a party and have some fun again.
Yeah.
Eat, drink, and be merry, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, you need that, man.
God rest ye merry gentlemen.
Exactly.
Let nothing you dismay, right?
Yeah. For sure.
Come on, man. Like,
And the spirit, and Christmas is coming up.
They're canceling Christmas.
I know.
Like, who does that?
No, I know. First time in our life.
Who does that? The Grinch does that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's very dark.
It's dark times, dude.
Yeah, it's a very dark and heavy weight that's on society all over the world.
People have, it's almost like we have some sort of societal PTSD. We mentioned the First World War and the Roaring Twenties. The world paid a big price.
Yeah.
for that. Like the Roaring Twenties were interesting. Like you read back, but if you read the literature from the 20s, it's very dark, dude.
Yeah.
Like if you Ernest Hemingway and F. Scott Fitzgerald and Maddox Ford and all those guys,
Right.
like I can't. I remember reading Ernest Hemingway and being disturbed for 3 weeks after finishing. You know,
and he's another
Farewell
one
to
that took
Arms.
his. He's another one that took it, and I put Chris in this like the tortured artist kind of thing, but has that dark element that clearly took.
I mean, he wrote all
Ernest
that stuff in the Roaring Twenties.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there was like it was almost like in defiance of the disaster, which was World War One.
Right.
We party.
Yeah.
You know,
right. I got you.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like a joyful time like the 60s.
Celebration.
No,
right.
It was like because we just have to live because that was such a disaster that none of us can look back upon.
Right. I got you. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the World War One was a meat grinder. Dude.
Right. So it's more almost like to a certain degree retaliation or like a response.
Yeah, like people responding to it, like out of trauma. Out of trauma.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think what's happened now is we have a lot of trauma.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, you have people like that are just, you know, living alone and staying alone and not seeing anybody else.
I know. And exactly. I know. And it's, I mean, a good friend of mine, Eva, took her own life just a week and a half before my brother, you know. And you hear these stories. Separating. It's absolutely traumatic this year for everyone to a certain degree. Some more than others. I mean, for me, this is the most traumatic. This will never get more traumatic in my life.
Never say that.
I mean, for me personally.
Never say that, brother.
Yeah. But I can't imagine it for me personally, though. I'm not talking about other things. But
I don't want your optimistic spirit to get crushed.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean? Never.
Yeah.
One of the things I always say is never, ever, ever say it can't get worse because it can always get worse.
Right. Man. Yeah. True.
It can always get worse.
Yeah.
And that's when.
And my hope is that we somehow globally, societally, we can.
I think music can lead
make
the way.
It better. Yeah, absolutely. Music is very therapeutic on so many different levels, and live music especially. Mm-hmm. There's something special about live music that, for me anyway, you can't get anywhere else. I saw my girlfriend's band Second Pass perform in August, and it was at the Rock Pile in Etobicoke. There was a little bit of a window there in the summer where the lockdown kind of lightened up a little bit, and you were able to have. And it was an outdoor thing in August, so we had 50 people. You have to be seated. You have to wear masks if you go to the washroom or whatever. But we were at least able to sit down and enjoy some live music. And there, I felt something that I haven't felt since March, you know. And then I did a gig in September on a boat. It was a private party. It was in Port Credit Marina. It was a lot of fun, but man, playing again is like, man. So the part of me comes to life when I perform that I can't get anywhere else in life. But for a lot of people, and I mean, you know, everyone likes music. You know, that's like saying you like food. You know, do you like music or not? No, everyone loves music. Otherwise, you wouldn't be human. So I think live music, there's something very special about bringing people together, all listening to the same music. You can kind of make it like a religious experience, man. The Doors used to talk about that. You kind of get the whole arena, the whole crowd together, you know, dancing to the same vibration and the same beat that you were talking about. And it's almost instinctual, you know.
Sure.
You know, primeval, whatever. And it's a celebration of life. Or it's something that we haven't had.
It's a release of something.
Yeah.
And people need to release a lot of tension, dude.
Absolutely.
You know,
after this,
there's a lot of negativity out there now, dude. There's
absolutely
a lot of
more
dark
than
spirits.
I've ever seen.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Pick a societal issue and it's worse.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Domestic violence, hunger, poverty. You know, everything's worse.
Yeah. Yeah. The magnifying glass of negativity.
Yeah.
Has stepped up.
I think we need, like, someone has to. You know what's interesting. And I know that there are legitimate mental illnesses that are diagnosable and stuff like that. But I read this article about that people become depressed when they know their future is going to be bad and they can't do anything about it.
Right. Hopelessness.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Chris, to a point, fell into that. You don't see any hope. And I know
Yeah.
what it's like to be. I have experienced like severe years ago. I don't have that now. But I have. I'm not going to go
You've
into
looked into that precipice.
I have
Yeah,
experienced.
sure.
I know. I felt the sting of the depths of depression when I did even. I can't believe I'm opening up so much, but I did attempt. I didn't succeed, obviously, but I've been through some shit, man. And clinically depressed. Again, it's been years. I kind of worked through it, but I'm a veteran when it comes to stuff like that, and I know what it feels like when that hopelessness kicks in.
Yeah.
It's sticky. It's very, it's.
There's you know what? There's an element of it. I hate to say this, but you tell me if I'm wrong. There's an element of it that is like when people are numb, they long for some emotion.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it starts with like a numbness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you kind of become numb.
Yeah. You're disjointed from life.
Yeah. Like there's like a numbness that overtakes you and nothing seems to matter.
Right. Yeah.
The time just goes by.
Yeah. There's no joy.
Yeah.
There's no,
you're watching
spirit.
Netflix. You're watching this. You're on the computer. You're playing some game.
It's empty.
There's like a numbness is what like creeps in, right? And then you start to I want to feel some emotions, right?
Yeah, and you come to life.
But the only one that are readily available to you is like negative emotions, like resentment, bitterness, and anger.
Right. Yeah.
And then you have so much time, you begin to reflect. I have a
feed into it.
Well, so
isolation.
I'm lucky that during this, my trade association and different associations worked on getting this part of the supply chain declared essential by our overlords.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because I actually think music is the most essential, to be honest
with
you.
Yeah. No, I agree.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
played music on the radio or on Spotify.
Right.
Oh, this is my favorite song by this artist.
Yeah.
From when times were joyful. I remember my cottage that summer. This was the song of the summer of 2005.
Yeah, when things were good.
And I met that girl, and we had that party and that big night.
All the good times are in the past.
I wonder if she's on Facebook. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, now she's married and she has 2 kids and she's overweight or whatever, right? Who knows, right?
Yeah.
That's not music, dude. Those are,
no.
It's like you need to go
Living in
form
the
new
past.
positive memories, man.
Yeah. Absolutely.
People need to be able to reach for something in the future, and now they're being told they can't. But I've been able to work every day, and I've been very busy, and I've been able to come to another place. And I took my kids out of high school because they were struggling with this stay-at-home learning stuff.
Oh yeah.
I literally took both my children out of high school.
Oh really?
John Paul and Leah, they don't go to.
Oh right. Yeah.
He works in construction full time.
Oh right. Yeah.
And Leah works full time as well. They're doing their credits online, but on a type of online education that existed long before COVID.
Oh, really?
Kind of like a correspondence thing.
Right.
Because look at my son. I come home. My son is lying around in his underwear all day, in his pajamas, for 3 weeks now, 4 weeks.
Yeah, that can't.
Playing video games all day.
Yeah.
He's got his school starts at 1:00 on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So he goes to school at 1:00 on those days, but then he has to be in online education at 9:00 on Tuesday and Thursday, and it's just like some weird, crazy schedule. And then I came home one day, and I go up to his room. I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, my teacher's doing gym class." I said, "Oh, okay." I look at the teacher. His teacher's there in spandex in the middle of Downward Dog, talking to the kids. Okay, now we're doing Downward Dog. And I thought to myself, man, if I was this, John Paul.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay, he's not a yoga guy, dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm not against yoga, and I'm God love the teacher and all that sort of stuff. Right. They're trying their best.
Yeah.
But, that's my worst nightmare if I'm a 15-year-old boy.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing you could ever ask me to do is watch my teacher do yoga on Zoom.
In spandex.
And so whatever. You know what I mean?
Wow,
what is this? This is stupidity.
Yeah.
What am I learning here? This is waste of time.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of kids out there that are in that trap right now.
Absolutely.
They're suffering badly, dude, from this.
Yeah. No, I know.
No plays, no sports, no games, no school spirit, no...
Yeah, the spirit.
Where's the spirit of the school?
No, exactly. No, that's all. It's all...
No, it's all gone, right?
Yeah, I know.
They're being traumatized as we speak, dude.
Yeah, I know. To be disconnected from people.
Yeah.
You there's life there. Relationships. life,
seeing
just
other
living like
people.
people.
Yeah. Having your teacher walk by you, touch you on the shoulder, and say, "How you doing there, son?" And,
Yeah, affection,
yeah,
touch, hugging
affection.
somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, so the
You're f-
numbness comes first.
Yeah,
Like a creeping numbness.
yeah, absolutely.
Right? And then after that, people feel the desire to feel something. So they start thinking about all the ways other people have hurt them and all the things they've hurt other people
Yeah,
in life. And it starts to replay these memories in their head.
yeah. The energy has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And if you're not getting satisfied with
Yeah.
love and positive,
Yeah. If you're not in a loving
thing
relationship and stuff like
celebration.
that, and your life feels like it doesn't have any meaning and nobody cares if I'm even here anyway.
Yeah, yeah. So then the energy, instead of going,
Well, it's only a Zoom class, right?
yeah.
If I wasn't here, would it even matter? If I just turned this computer, or if I just turned the computer on in the corner and play video games or
Yeah.
whatever, a lot of people are suffering. Like that right now.
Isolation, man. Yeah. It's not healthy.
Especially for young people, dude.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Especially for young people, dude.
I know. And I agree that I think live music, which is kind of, for me, it's like where you can celebrate life. That it's one of the biggest platforms in my mind. I can't think of anything.
Let me
more
ask you
representative
something. Let me ask you something. Do you think there's going to be more people that remember COVID for someone who died from COVID? Or do you think there's going to be more people that remember COVID for other reasons, negative reasons?
You mean someone that passed away because they caught COVID,
No,
or just any kind of?
No, just like because I see your brother as kind of like a COVID-19 death in a way.
Yeah, the thing is, because what you're talking about.
Like I'm not saying
What
I don't know the
happened-
situation totally.
Yeah, but
But I see this as something that pushed a lot of people over the precipice. If they were coming in close, and if they were going into COVID with some numbness,
already some darkness, Yeah.
there, man.
Yeah, you're right, and the lockdown definitely played a part in it. There's no doubt about it, because he like I said before, he had so much energy. No one knew anyone else that did so much. For a while there, he was working full time, like a year and a half ago, working full time, right, Monday through Friday, as an engineer, going to the office, and full time. He was in 2 bands, the Reed Effect and Fat Mob, his band that he built from the ground. He worked at a bike shop on the weekends, and he also did repairs and stuff for.
He's busy. He didn't have time to think about his problems.
And it worked. He wasn't overextending himself.
Yeah, for sure.
And all that went to shit. And then he didn't have the outlet. Then the carpal tunnel kicks in, and then the conversations he had with me and my parents, like over the summer, like it was strange. He just went into that dark time, and instead of being satisfied with life, he fed the negativity, and it even became somewhat manic and a little aggressive at times.
That's the problem with male depression.
That,
the problem with, it's interesting because men are much more successful at suicide than women.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean? Like it's statistics. Yeah. I don't mean to talk this much about the topic. Are you okay with it?
Yeah.
I'm just kind of.
I am now. I wouldn't have been like a month ago, but the story needs to be told. This is part of the story that we're putting out with the song is getting played on Canadian radio. Fine here, so we're on like 20 radio stations, and part of the story, like our radio trackers, our producer said this is so poetic. It's just this song right here, Fine Here. It's on Canadian radio from East Coast to West Coast. We've had well over 200 spins. Anyway, so I'm just saying that I'm okay to talk about it to a certain extent because it has to be part of the story now.
So do you think, like, when people look back at this time, like the Roaring Twenties, okay? So you take, like, let's talk about Ernest Hemingway just for a minute here, okay? So you take, not The Sun Also Rises, Jake Barnes. Right. Character in that story, he never says it, but he alludes to it. It's such a strange injury. He got his penis blown off in a plane.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and so it never talks about it. Some people read the whole book and don't even know what's wrong with Jake. They can't figure it out.
That's what it is. Oh, really?
Right, and so his girlfriend, her name is Brett. It's a woman, but her name is Brett. And in the story, he and Brett are in love. They can't consummate their love.
Wow.
Right, so Brett absolutely adores Jake, and Jake absolutely loves Brett, but they can never be together.
Yeah. Wow.
right? And it's so dark, dude.
Yeah.
And then he goes around with her while she sleeps with all these different men and stuff.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's really dark. It's a really dark story, although there's some beautiful moments in it.
Right, but dark. Yeah.
And I remember one line from it, and that always stays with me. They were out for dinner, I think, and I could have this wrong, but it's my memory from it, right? Sometimes I say stuff on the show that it's not 100% right, but it's almost right. It's good enough for a story on a podcast. You know, and with Kirk Reed, we're not PhDs in English lit or whatever, right?
Exactly.
So anyway, they're sitting around there in Spain, I think, and it's the 1920s, and Jake's there with Brett, and they're with another couple, and they're talking about how they don't understand. That this couple can't be together, and they're just gossiping and whatever, right? But they don't realize that these two can never be together,
right?
Like they can like a man and a woman.
It's like right there, but
they can't have it, right? Because the injury,
right?
And he says, we should not question, but rejoice and believe and give thanks. And I thought about that, a lot, that in my life, many, many times. That you don't know what's going on with somebody else, actually.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You don't know what demons they're facing.
Right. That's very personal.
Yeah. And the problem with COVID-19 is that you have COVID-19 and then 100,000 individual stories of other people's lives being damaged that have no coherent thing you can name it. Like, what do we want to name that?
Yeah, I know.
Like, what's going on with all the people out there, like your brother and his girlfriend and this person over here, and this poor kid on Zoom all day. And did you hear about the kid in Arizona?
No.
He blew his head off in the Zoom class.
Really?
Yeah, it was sad. Really 11-year-old kid.
Really?
11 years old, right?
Wow.
Like all these people out there that are suffering from all these restrictions and lockdowns.
Yeah.
What do we call that?
Yeah.
We have a name for this.
Right. Yeah. What about the...
We have a name for this COVID-19 that really kills really old people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we don't have a name for this thing that's destroying everybody's life.
Yeah, I know.
And no one's allowed to give thanks anymore. No one's allowed to have Christmas is canceled.
Yeah. Like rejoice for what? Celebrate what?
Right?
Zoom?
Yeah. And people can't rejoice. They can't live.
Right.
They're
not free.
No, they're not free.
There's
no freedom anymore.
It's all like jail.
And neighbors are being told to tell on their other neighbors if they have a party.
Yeah.
We all have to live depressed.
Yeah. Right.
We all have to live in fear of the virus.
And it is depressed. In fear. It is.
And you have to be controlled by the government. Because, there's too much at stake with COVID-19.
Right.
There's other things at stake.
Yeah.
Actually.
Oh, yeah. Huge. Yeah.
What do we call that?
Yeah, I don't know. The mental health and all that. I mean, the kid in Arizona, my brother,
Yeah. What do we call that pain?
Yeah.
They used to call it the First World War. People wouldn't talk about it in the Roaring Twenties.
Oh, yeah.
They wouldn't talk about it.
Right. It's an absolute horror show.
Yeah. I mean, come on. You go to, if you go look at that, 100,000 men died there in that battle there for the Somme to try to get to that river over there. And then they got there, and then they were pushed back the next day.
Crazy.
20,000 people died trying to do this, trying to push this stupid muddy trench forward. For what?
Yeah.
For what?
Yeah.
Right? And so people responded to that with what they call the Roaring Twenties.
Yeah.
Right? But there was a darkness in it.
Yeah.
It's in the literature.
Right.
You read the literature. F. Scott Fitzgerald is the same way.
Yeah. Interesting.
They're the same. There's a darkness in it all.
Yeah.
There's a meaninglessness there.
Yeah. And there's an anger, toward life, I guess.
I actually believe that our society never recovered from the First World War.
Right.
I don't think we've ever recovered from that.
Yeah.
I think the trauma is still there. And I think with this COVID-19 thing, we're all being traumatized. And
it's absolutely traumatizing.
Yeah. And, I said the words too, like social distancing, physical distancing, don't touch one another. Have sex with masks on.
Yeah.
Oh,
some people are into that.
But I mean, as if that act is pure gratification of some bizarro kind. There's more to it than wearing masks, buddy.
Yeah, no, exactly. Very
some people.
robotic.
Yeah, it's like sometimes
Empty.
human connection is important.
Soulless.
Yeah, we need the music to come.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it starts with music, actually.
Yeah. I believe that. And I mean, I like this conversation. It gives me, I'm already driven just because Chris is in my music. This is the last album. Plus, he recorded so much other music that I'm going to develop and stuff like that. But the thing is, that's part of the message that I want to kind of put out there is bring back some of that celebration, a reason to live,
Or no, but maybe like music. Oftentimes, music is a reflect. Like people like music that like the grunge music era of the early '90s.
Yeah.
Was very dark, dude.
Yeah.
Like the glam rock had gotten out of control.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
it's a little too.
It was too. It got weird. You're not badass. You're just some weirdo with hairspray in your hair.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like it lost its edge and it became like total pop music of a weird kind.
Yeah.
And then in comes Kurt Cobain.
Yeah, exactly.
Blows the whole thing up. Rolls a grenade in the room.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It blows it up.
We're going to change the...
There's only one band that even survived it. Guns N' Roses survived the grunge rock tidal wave, but nobody else did.
That big, but
Bon Jovi was swept away, and all those bands, like, nobody cared about them anymore. Gone.
Yeah, gone.
And I think we need something like we need a grunge rock type of era right now. Something people can rock out to.
Yeah.
But they can release some negative energy into, too. Like,
yeah. No, I know.
Like
because
smells like Teen Spirit.
Yeah.
Man, you know what I mean?
Just bang.
Yeah.
Something you can bring back to life, like a shot to the...
You know what I mean? Like that startup. And some of your songs have that. Like I have to listen to them a couple more times.
Yeah,
before I can feel them out.
Right. But you can tell.
Like
we put a lot into that.
Like, man. Yeah. But sometimes artists are... Maybe you saw all this beforehand, brother.
That's the thing. I mean,
Like I was listening to it on the way into work. I listened to it a little bit on the weekend, and that Rise Up song kept sticking to me. He wrote this before all this shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have been like a year ago, really. Or no, longer than that.
Yeah. And I mean, in light of everything that's happening, for me too, I'm sick of all the, like, life should not be this negative.
Right. Yeah. The soul is, I know it shouldn't be this, you want to get up and you want to be happy, or more or less.
We want to have a meaningful life.
But
we want to have a meaningful life.
Exactly. Connected
to
alive
others.
And connected to a greater.
Sometimes you get sick. Sometimes when you get sick when that happens, and I think it's like I'll say this: I've already had COVID-19. Both my parents have already had COVID-19. I'm ready for the risk of living.
Yeah.
Rather than the risk of not dying.
Right. Yeah. Right.
I'd rather go see Kirk Reed live, man.
Yeah.
At the Horseshoe Tavern, brother.
Yeah.
Oh, you might get sick. Okay. I'm in, brother.
The option is worse.
You want a sip of my beer?
Yeah. Give a big hug.
You know what I'm saying? Give me a hug, brother. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because this is dying.
This is just living to die, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting because, and it does need to have that punch, and then, celebrate the live music. But also, there's a lot of, I listen to Spotify. I got a Spotify account. And I listen to a lot of the modern rock for the last, modern rock. And honestly, I don't like most of it. And there's that auto-tune bullshit. And it doesn't seem authentic, man. When I sing, I'm not going to compare myself to Axl Rose or anything.
Sure.
But you could tell I put a lot into it. My producer pulled it out of me too, right? And
you're belting it out, buddy.
I belted it out, man. And it was organic. You can hear my voice, and you can hear the passion that I'm into it. A little bit of aggression, but a little bit of sadness here, a little in there too, part of the human condition. But I listen to a lot of other music, and I'm not putting down any modern bands, but there's that. It's almost like a little bit whiny. And it's not quite. I know you brought up the glam rock era. It was just a little. There's no weight to it, and a lot of modern rock. The post Nickelback and Creed I don't know. It's like I've heard this. I could, I can listen to a song for the first time. I could play. I know exactly what's going to happen. It's so predictable. It's like 3 chords. Okay, here we go. Here comes the chorus. And what we try to do is get a little bit of a rock and roll. The spirit of rock and roll, which I think to me is beautiful. What I'm hearing now isn't really rock and roll. I kind of have to go back to some classic stuff to get that sound again. When I hear the Doors, like Jim Morrison's voice, to that crooner, beautiful. And he wasn't even a classically trained singer, but I can connect with it because it's organic. It's genuine, And I'm not hearing a lot of that now. So I think, then you got this, that whiny,
Sure.
about talking about nonsense. Again, there's some really good bands that you won't hear on spot, like I have some good friends bands that, I see that is
A lot of
genuine.
musicians complain about that.
Yeah.
I don't. While I would say that the music of the times reflects the taste of the people of the times.
Yeah, yeah.
You understand what I mean?
People seem to dig it. Yeah.
Like if I look at it, from my perspective, it seems like it's a business model.
Yeah, it's very sellable, and it's a very.
It's like a business model. Okay, what we need, here's what we need. We need a handsome, kind of bad boy frontman.
Yeah.
And then, and they put together a band or whatever.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
I can see
safe. It does sell. I see that point. I understand.
And the hip hop, I hate to do this too, but the hip hop is kind of a reflection of the same thing in a way.
Yeah.
That mumble rap.
Yeah, the lazy.
Yeah, the mumble
Drake.
rap. Yeah, the Drake style. And hey, look, I'm not here to beat up Drake.
Yeah, no, me
Guy's
neither.
a good businessman.
He can't. Yeah, he's clearly doing something right.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't faze me in terms of that.
Right.
But there definitely is that if you're a musician right now and you don't see the opportunity of lifetime to start a movement, you're never going to see it again.
Right. No, I 100%
Now is
agree.
the time to start a movement.
Yeah.
If you want to start a cult, what I mean?
Now's the time.
A movement of some kind or whatever you want to call it. Like people are dying to follow something, brother.
Yeah.
And if you can hit the right chord for them, you will be extremely popular.
Right.
What is that chord? That elusive song? I mean, Smells Like Teen Spirit is the best description I can give you of something that kind of landed with that kind of authority in the world.
Exactly. Exploded.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in my lifetime, so I can't remember. I can't pick a song from the 70s because I was born in 1977.
Right.
But I'm sure there are moments of transition. Like they say, this is one of those moments of transition.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where everything is wide open, brother.
Right.
Everything got blown up.
Yeah.
And the world is wide open. People are ready for a new message. New leaders can come to power.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people. What's interesting is that World War One and this World War One we're in now may not be over yet.
Right.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you have to follow the zeitgeist. Like the vaccine may be like a fake treaty.
Right.
Where we think the war is going to end. They're talking about a treaty between Germany and France and Britain to end the war in 1916. Treaty negotiations. And you read the newspaper. Right? There's treaty negotiations going on between the German, Kaiser von Wilhelm and whatever, and they're meeting in Luxembourg to discuss,
right?
Whether end the war or not. Like the vaccine could be like I'm just making a comparison to the societal forces that are at play,
right?
And that people think, oh man, this is just going to be over. No, it's probably going to be over when we get rid of all the people who are in charge right now.
Yeah. Yeah, we need some better leadership.
You know what I mean?
Level.
And I'm not talking about the United States. I'm talking about Canada.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not talking about a foreign nation. I'm talking about our country.
Yeah.
But, people that are so obsessed with Trump versus Biden. We got our own problems up here, buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay?
Yeah.
We don't need to be worried about their leaders.
Yeah.
We need to be worried about our own stupid leaders,
For
actually.
sure. Yeah, right on our front doorstep.
Yeah, right here in Ottawa and Queen's Park and at City Hall.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Who've used their inductive reasoning to create this nightmare scenario we're now in.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's really for me, but if you ever wanted to be a political leader, if you ever wanted to start a musical movement or an artistic movement of some kind, this is the opportunity, bud. Now, it may not be the right moment.
But coming up soon, like around the corner.
You can try to, if you're looking at this strategically, which I am.
Yeah, me too.
From a business perspective.
Right.
Okay. I'm very much strategic about this.
Yeah, yeah.
Because a lot of the old power structures are being wiped out.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. This is a big time in history.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, globally. Yeah.
Global time in history.
Yeah.
And that you may end up being an inspiration for the revolutionary side. You got to get on your wave and ride it, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because, like, with everything that COVID, we were supposed to. Can you imagine if we released the album like right before all this stuff happened, and then it would have just drizzled off. There would be nothing,
sure.
And they were going to release, and then we're going to release again, and then my brother, and then we're postponing again. Now we're releasing the whole album on January 11th, which was Chris's birthday. But anyway, it keeps on getting postponed, so it's still sitting. I mean, you're one of the few people that I've heard, and there's actually a sermon at the end. I don't know if you've heard it yet. The seventh track.
No, I haven't heard the rest of it.
Oh yeah,
I kept going back to. I went to 6. I listened to Rise of the first one, the second one, a couple different times, 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
But I didn't get to 7.
Oh, this is the sermon right here.
Now that I have your attention, I want to talk to you all about a couple things right now. I want to talk to you about how to deal with buzz killers.
So that's how it all starts. And I got a video, too. It would have been our last video shoot with Chris. So, and I have a guy that's going to edit that. But that's 5 minutes long. Listen to it, man. And that's kind of saying some of the stuff, that what we're talking about.
Yeah.
That's more of a sermon, because my dad's a preacher.
And now we're going to get excited, brother.
Yeah.
You know why? It's time for people to get excited. Because there is some good things about COVID-19. There is some good things. And one of those good things is that there's an opportunity for transformational change.
Yeah, it's an opportunity. Absolutely. As opposed to kind of not wallowing, that's not the right word.
Wallowing is the right word.
Feeding the
fear, negativity. Yeah. I'm excited because, I actually got to build a software system that I've been working on for years. I ended up being able to have the time to work on it because of COVID-19.
Nice. It was an opportunity.
Yeah. And so other good things have happened that, that it's time, but not that.
But not for the most, I think for you and I, and for many others, but there's a lot of people that are following.
But they all have to open their eyes, man.
Yeah.
And
you need someone to inspire them to do
that's
it.
why it's time. The timing of your album.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. And we released the first single, Fine Here, like 3 weeks ago. So it's getting...
Music can lead the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Bring people together.
Yeah. Exactly.
All the people that are... And speaking something that can resonate and bring some excitement back and some inspiration.
Get excited.
Get excited about things. Yeah.
Thrash around to a beat a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Bring some light, get moving.
Yeah, for sure. It's time. It's time. And,
And doing it collectively.
Yeah. It's time for a release, man.
Yeah.
The difference between this
people are hungry
crisis we're in, whatever you want to call it, is I feel like it's going to take that the recovery is going to be 5 or 6 times longer than the period of time.
Yeah, maybe
that we've been
it's
through.
So ingrained. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And there's like a civil war brewing down south and even up here.
Too much, but all that's negativity.
I know.
It's all negativity.
The hatred and,
yeah. It's like, it's interesting. It's like, it's interesting how people. You never heard of the term manifesting? When people talk about, I'm going to manifest this future for myself,
right?
Meditating on it and focusing on it.
Envision.
It's almost like people are manifesting their negativity.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's like that's a little collective as well. There's like through the internet and stuff, but
people are really wallowing and engaging with a lot of negative things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
and
a lot of negativity.
No...
It's like talking about groups of people with names for them.
Yeah.
Like this group of people.
Right.
All of them.
Yeah, it's us and them.
Them and this and them. It's like, okay, we need someone to come in and blow that up.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
That way of thinking about the world.
Right. Bringing it together.
Labeling
listening.
everybody.
Yeah.
The vaccinated and the non-vaccinated.
Yeah,
This kind of a thing, you know. So
absolutely.
Kirk Reed. Oh, man.
Yes. Yeah, thanks for having me. Interesting conversation. And very poignant. There's
Timing is
one
right.
of the words. Yeah, absolutely.
Why don't you put us out with Rise Up, Scotty, and we'll say, do you have any final thoughts for the people listening, Kirk? For your brother?
Yeah, just like my love for Chris is going to show, and you'll see the beauty of Chris and the music that we worked on together with this new album, 1973, that's coming out January 11th, which is Chris's birthday. I'm building a new band that love people, members that love and adore Chris and knew him well. It's going to be a special incarnation of this band. It'll never be the same. The Chris and our vocals. Fortunately, we have this album with tons of harmonies and vocals that we have that people will be able to listen to forever, including you. But look forward to some hope and some encouragement and some live music to come back again in 2021. And the Reed Effect will be out there hitting it hard, touring and playing gigs all over the place.
Not backing down here is Kirk Reed of the Reed Effect. Check out his new album, 1973. Everything's posted on the website. They can get it anywhere. Spotify? Can they get it on Spotify?
Well, they will be able to. Fine Here is on Spotify now, but the whole album will be on all the Apple
anywhere
Music,
good
iTunes,
music is.
all digital.
The Reed
outlets.
Effect. That's REID.
No, 2 E's.
2 E's.
Yeah.
REED. The Reed Effect. It's how little we have things in our hands now to read names, eh?
Yeah.
Like I always forget the name of books I read because I listen to them on Audible.
Oh, I see.
So I never see the title of the book.
Right, you don't. Oh,
I forget what the book is called. Yeah. So the Reed Effect, folks, search it up. And thanks to Kirk Reed and Chris Reed, R.I.P.
Come on and give it to me. Breaking the silence, streams of defiance. Where's my